She is now the most decorated gymnast in U.S. history. And Donald Trump, this morning, the six-time gold medalist tweeted, quote, "I love my black job." I'm joined now by Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas. Welcome, Congresswoman. You loving your black job?
It's good to see you, Chairman. I am.
I'm loving my black job right now too. So it's good to good that we got work. You know, this is about as crazy and weird as it gets. But you know what I really enjoy about you, in addition to your public service, is the fact that you call it out and you acknowledge it and you lean into it to try to help contextualize it against the backdrop of the real work that we're seeing that needs to be done in Congress. What should the public be making of moments like this? You know, as you in your work try to contrast what you're going through in the House with a lot of weirdness, but then in moments from the presidential campaign that we see from J.D. Vance and from the vice president.
Yeah, you know, what is so frustrating is that these are the guys that their answer to everything is DEI, and they are basically trying to minimize black folk and saying the only types of jobs that we can have are the jobs, say, that someone who's immigrating from somewhere else and coming to our country, which for the most part, these are entry-level jobs. Those are the only jobs we're qualified for, right? Like, you can't be the GOAT when it comes to the Olympics. You can't be me and sit in Congress. And the reality is that these are people that are not qualified for the positions in which they're running for. And I'm looking forward to him being rejected again when a black woman shows him that her black job, her next black job, is being the president of the United States.
You know, the interesting thing about it is that they always spin a narrative and try to take things out of context so that they can impress upon the uninformed, which is a lot of people, especially black people, because a lot of black people choose not to even participate. And that's why you see such a low voter turnout in liberal areas and in urban communities. You see a very low voter turnout. And so what they do is, this is the finesse, this is the trick. And I'm going to go into this tomorrow morning when I drop my video. The real finesse is they first force you or try to impress upon you that you're supposed to vote for somebody based off of identity politics, because familiarity is key when you're trying to convince somebody to do something that they're not informed about, right? And so if you don't know no better, go with the thing you're safe with. So because there's always a very low voter turnout rate in the community, and I'm gonna get to Simone Biles in a minute and Jasmine Crockett, because there's such a low voter turnout rate in the community, they don't go into the community and say, oh man, this is why you're going to be improved upon, this is important for you. It's usually, I'm going to put Meg Thee Stallion on stage and give you a free concert because you don't feel as though you're ever going to have any changes in your life. And so it's a similar tactic that's being displayed right here, in which they're trying to act like what the meaning of black jobs are is anything different than what it is as a white job, a Hispanic job, a Latin job, and so on and so forth. And so a job, okay, let me clear this up. What they mean by black jobs, let me add the for context, is if the majority of the migrants are going into your communities because they're going to sanctuary cities, they're going where the majority of the black population is. And so if they're going to Chicago, Oakland, New York, all of these different places where people are going to be affected in their communities because the opportunities are going to be less than those jobs that are usually performed by black people, regardless of what they are. It could be literally an alderman, a councilman, the mayor. People usually vote in out of ignorance the ones that they closely identify with. And if those are the majority of the people that then take over the jobs and the populations, regardless of whether or not you like it or not, then those are the jobs that are being affected. Unfortunately, they're always going to go into these liberal hellholes, which is usually where the majority of the black population lives. And so when we say black jobs, it's no different than white jobs or Hispanic jobs, but because they're trying to impress upon the population, or they're trying to woo a segment of the population to vote a certain type of way, whether you want to vote conservative or you want to go more liberal, then they have to speak to that demographic. And so what Democrats usually do is they take it out of context so that they can then try to leverage this narrative to say that they're racist. Well, if they're so racist, then why did they step in and save HBCUs from financial ruin? If they're so racist, why did they create the opportunity zones? If they're so racist, how come they didn't separate the opportunities when it came, or why didn't they the Democrats volunteer to actually entertain or have a conversation with Ice Cube about the platinum plan that he was proposing during the 2020 election, and the Republicans were actually willing to sit down and have a conversation with him? Why is that? Because I don't go based off of what you try to paint the narrative to be. I go off of what the real actions are and if people are thriving in their communities and the opportunities that come along with it. What I do know for a fact, what I do know is that Black people and Black jobs are suffering tremendously. Guess who are the ones that's getting foreclosed on the most? Especially over there in Atlanta. Guess who the people that are getting the majority of their cars repossessed? Guess who's in financial ruin more than any other time in history outside of 2008? So we can sit here and have this conversation, and Simone Biles, let me speak on Simone Biles real quick. All right. Let me preface this by saying that I'm a heavy supporter of Simone Biles when she was going back and forth in a conversation with these hyenas about them coming for her husband and all of that. So Simone Biles, to an extent, is very much a traditional person as far as how it is that she's operating in the presentation layer, as far as what we know, in her household, getting married and all of that stuff. So I was a heavy, heavy defender of Simone Biles. And I'm also a huge fan of Simone Biles, the athlete and Olympian. But I'm objective enough to be able to separate how I feel about you personally and professionally versus what your politics are. And I think it's a disgrace because when these athletes, and I just think that the majority of these athletes need to shut up about politics if they don't really understand it or add the additional context, because based off of what I just broke down to you and then what she wanted to tweet out, she used probably one of the biggest moments of her career, the apex of her career, continuing to be great at what she does. You cannot take anything from her. I will never do that, in order to tweet out something to continue to push this agenda as far as identity politics and a Black jobs narrative, knowing that this is a trope, knowing that they're trying to press upon y'all something that's not best for you. They so far disconnected from what real Americans is really going through, so far removed from it. But then you got this person like Jasmine Crockett, who she's biased because Kamala Harris is her homegirl. And so she's basically leveraging her as a tool. And so she's so impressed by the fact that she's a freshman in Congress and being loved on by Kamala Harris that she can't see the trees. She can't see the forest for the trees because she's so easily finessing. So they selling y'all this narrative and this dream, and they trying to use the racist trope because they don't have no policy to stand on. They don't have anything that they can give you. They can't speak to how it is that they're going to really reduce inflation. They can't tell you how they're going to make it better for you. It's layoffs everywhere. We literally are slipping into a depression at this point, but they trying to continue to put games in front of you and Meg Thee Stallion, and they trying to champion Simone Biles and all of this, who don't even know what she's talking about when it comes to politics at all. But I do still celebrate her decision to rock out from a traditional perspective, and I do defend, her against all of these other people. But maybe she's just trying to win back the Black women and the Black population that was coming after her as a result of, who it is that she decided to marry because he said that he was the prize. I don't know. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Let me know inside of the comments. Make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. I love you. I appreciate you. I think I'm going to be going live today. Special Saturday live this afternoon with my homegirl. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Best time to join the Patreon is the beginning of the month. We'll get it in, man.